Welcome to today's conversation. Today, we're going to be diving into the topic of being an empath, what it looks like, what it feels like, and how to prevent yourself from taking on other people's energy and other people's stuff. If you're someone who tends to internalize other people's problems as your own, you tend to be the problem solvers, the helpers, the people who overcompensators, the givers, and at the end of the day, you feel resentful, you feel bogged down, and you're not really showing up as your best self because you're so busy dealing with other people's problems, then this episode is for you. So one of the biggest things that I've found on my journey is I used to take on other people's stuff as my own. It was like this responsibility. And it came from a place of wanting to be loved and also wanting to keep the peace around me to essentially protect my nervous system. And so when we've experienced trauma and from someone potentially who's had, anger or an addiction or multiple things that can happen as children, it can really stress our nervous system out and program us to be problem solvers, to program us to be the person that goes out of our way to help people so that they don't have to have the problem. We don't have to experience it, because if you've ever been a victim of some sort of trauma or something has really impacted you and your nervous system, which is basically everyone, let's be honest, it's really common to go back into tendencies of wanting to protect yourself. So one of the reasons why today you may be someone who takes on other people's problems and tries to solve them and you're the helper, maybe because on a deeper level, it's a way to protect yourself from potentially being stressed out or hurt. So question for you, does that resonate with you? Are you someone who's had something happen in the past and because of it, you're taking on other people's problems and trying to solve things outside of you to prevent yourself from witnessing something that may stress out your nervous system? So that is definitely one of the reasons. Another reason that you may be taking on other people's problems is because you want to avoid your own. Right. And this is really common, especially when we have a fear of our greatness or we lack clarity or we have low self-worth challenges that we're experiencing, is that we can take on other people's challenges and issues as a way to avoid ourselves. So the question that I have for you with that, if that resonates, is, are you showing up and really that giver, that helper to everyone outside of you as a way to potentially on a subconscious level to block you from really stepping forward and moving through what you need to work on in order to achieve and be who you are meant to be in the world? This is really common. It's an easy way to distract ourselves from ourselves. I've done it. And, many of us do it and we're not aware of it. But a good thing to notice is next time you want to say yes to something and you're the yes man or the yes woman, right? And you're saying yes to everything, or you just taking on other people's stuff, the next question I have for you is, what are you avoiding within yourself? What is within yourself in your life that you are not moving forward, that you are not dealing with, that you are not cleaning up? And as a result, you are distracting yourself with other people's problems. Okay, so doing work for others, as I mentioned, can be a way of avoiding doing the work on ourselves. So be aware of it. And when we go and we take on other people's problems and we try to solve it for them, and we're like, oh, I'll fix that for you, we create codependent relationships. A really good book that I highly recommend if you are someone who doesn't want someone to feel uncomfortable and you tend to always, take on other people's problems, is the book Codependency No More by Judith Beatty. It is a game changer. I read it about 8 years ago and I really had a lot of awareness around it, as a lot of these tendencies that we may have around taking on other people's problems, people pleasing, sidestepping our full potential, and really saying yes to what we want, the things that block us, a lot of the time, it comes from childhood. It comes from potentially unhealed trauma. It comes from our nervous system being stressed out and belief systems that we can't have what we want. So one of the things that I really want to talk about today with taking on other people's problems is, when someone comes to you with a problem or they're in a space of intensity. This actually recently happened to me in a relationship where the person came to me and it was very clear that this person, I love this person, we're very close on many levels, was going through a lot, right? So most of the time when people are, putting themselves out there in a big way and expressing anger, frustration, and it's just not lining up with reality as far as your experience, and it feels like, whoa, this is a lot of energy. There's a few different things that you can do. The first thing that you can do that many people do is they take it on. Well, this person is, angry at me or angry today. So I'm going to take that on and I'm going to internalize this. Empaths can do this too. So if you're an empath and you're feeling like you take on a lot of stuff, this might be you, and that's totally fine, but it's something to be aware of. So there's three things that you can do. Number one is you can take it on, as I mentioned, and make it your own problem. Oh my gosh, this person's mad at me, or, this is going on, so it has something to do with me. We can internalize it and hold on to that in our physical body and our emotional body and our mental space, everything. And it can really affect the way that we show up. So that's the way that we want to be aware of that we're not doing. The second option when someone is taking out potentially their bad day on you is you can meet their energy. And this is another really common way people show up. If someone yells at them in traffic or, whatever, something funny is going on at the grocery store, there's conflict, a lot of people will meet that person's energy and challenge them in order to defend them. So it's like one person's triggered about something going on in their own life, the initial person, and then someone else's, and then they're meeting with that energy. That doesn't really feel good because it's triggering, you're being triggered and you are meeting that person's energy, which isn't really solving anything. It's releasing a lot of energy from you and it's blocking from you from really being in your own self, your own awareness, and in truth. And so with truth, what I like to say about truth is always changing. Our truth, our individual truth, is always changing based on our experiences, our lessons, and all of that. But what I mean though here is when someone is coming at you and they're taking their bad day out on you, which can be really common for people pleasers, people who are codependent, those who tend to take on other people's problems because that's the energy that you have. And, people can put that on you. And some of it might be conscious, a lot of it isn't. And it's just something that happens. So, as I mentioned, the first thing is you can take it on, you can internalize it and make it about yourself and take on the belief system, I'm not good enough. Something's wrong with me. I don't feel great. I have to solve this problem and really internalize it. It can affect you on so many different levels. The second thing, as I mentioned, is you can meet their energy and meet their emotion. And again, that's just repelling energy. It's not good for anyone and can cause more conflict. The third one that I practice when this person in my life approached me recently was I got curious. So if you find that you're in an environment, maybe it's your working environment, one of your relationships, or really anywhere in your life where someone is very reactive and it feels like a lot, number one thing you want to do is you want to take a deep breath into your belly. So once you take a few cycles of breath, your whole body can calm down. So what I like to do and what I did in this situation was I took a deep breath in, I took a deep breath out and I said, this isn't mine. In my mind, I said, this isn't mine because I knew it wasn't matching what was going on. I could tell that person was going through something. The next thing was I observed. I paid attention to what was going on. So the second thing is you want to observe what's going on. Okay, like this person's angry or frustrated or whatever the emotion is that you're observing. And then you want to get curious. Okay. So you want to breathe in, breathe out. You want to really pay attention to the emotion and get clear on that as you observe. And then you want to respond, right? You want to respond. So the responding is for me was I said, I'm noticing that. Okay. So first I took a breath in, breath out. And then I went to the second step was, I was observing the emotion that I was seeing. And I said, I am noticing. And then I filled in the blank with the emotion. And then I really felt, oh, wow, this person has a lot on their plate. They're taking too much on. And this is probably why they're reacting this way in this moment. And I said, okay, it sounds like, it feels like that you are feeling this way. And how are you taking care of yourself right now? And through that question, through the breathing, and telling myself this isn't mine, the observing, and then the responding and being curious in the response with a question allowed the entire conversation and energy to shift. It went from someone kind of projecting and blaming something on me to a person really recognizing that they had a lot going on and they weren't potentially showing up as fully as they could. So it was such a beautiful experience, because in the past, and if you're like me at all, I used to take on everyone's stuff. I used to, be the person that would take on other people's bad behavior, and I'd be like, oh, there's something wrong with me, or I need to solve this problem. And it wasn't serving me. And it's not serving you if that's going on in your life right now. It may make you feel temporarily comfortable, but long term isn't serving your growth, right? And so when you breathe, when you observe, when you get curious and you respond with a question, it opens everything up for that person to recognize what's going on within themselves. So if you're looking for a framework, I highly recommend it. It's super powerful. I think this is the first time I've actually done that framework, and I noticed myself just feeling, breathing, getting curious and responding. And through that reflection, the conversation completely changed. And because of it, there was no me taking anything on. There was no me matching that person's energy. All there was an illumination of that person and what's really going on in their world, without me having to solve their problems, without me taking it on. So if you take on other people's problems, use that framework if and when someone is reacting in a way that just isn't from a place of groundedness and love and authenticity. Because the truth is, when we're happy, when we're taking care of our basic needs, when we're really listening to our body, we don't really react much. I know I don't. Like if you're exercising regularly, you're listening to your body, you can keep it calm. But when we're not listening, when we are reacting, it's usually because we're not listening to ourselves. So don't take on other people's problems. And the last piece that I really want to talk about, and this actually has a little bit to do with purpose as well, and I'm going to jam on that because I have something really special coming up for you very soon that I want to invite you to be a part of. So when I was in Bali, there was this man, and he was the trash man. Okay. So he had garbage bag over his shoulder. There was intense music going, and he was just like this cool looking man, and he was throwing trash in these trash bins that were lit on fire. And I just remember watching this man with so much purpose. I've never seen someone with so much purpose in the way they walk, in the way they look, in the way, like everything he did was so on purpose. There was this intense music going too. And I was just in awe with this man's energy and the way he was holding himself and the way he was showing up. Right. And so as he was taking out the trash and letting it burn, I had this feeling and this emotion come up for me at that time in my life. This is years ago. And I realized this is a metaphor. The guy taking out the trash is a metaphor for life, because I was taking out other people's trash in their life. I was taking it on, and I realized it's not my responsibility to take it on. And so I'm saying this because it's not your responsibility to take on other people's trash, to resolve other people's problems. And when we do that, we actually prevent the other person from really showing up for themselves, for really showing up and taking responsibility and taking out their own trash. So I just want you to know that we all have our stuff going on in our life. And when we are taking on other people's stuff, it's usually a way to avoid our own or to temporarily feel safe. However, we block ourselves from really showing up for ourselves and really showing up for those around us. So I really want you to consider that. And again, the framework is super powerful. if you are in some sort of relationship or situation where someone potentially isn't taking care of themselves and listening to themselves on a deeper level. And maybe you are the reactor. You're the person that meets their energy and is like, getting intense, or maybe you're the person that takes it on. So I really, really recommend that. And I'd love to hear how that goes for you. So the man that was taking out the trash in Bali, it was at night. There was fire, I said, and he was walking with trash over his shoulder. And I just remember thinking that this man has the most purpose that I have ever seen. And what I found that is over the years of coaching and all of this work is that so many people who are not living in their purpose, who are not really in it to win it. I mean, like really honoring themselves on a soul level and living that truth and living their purpose are oftentimes the people who are in a space of lack of fulfillment. So if you're in a space where you're not showing up for yourself fully, you find yourself putting, your dreams on the back burner, or saying, if this, then that, if I win the lottery, or if I make this amount of money, then I can go and do the thing that I want. If you are doing this in any level or settling in an area of your life, it is so important. I just want to share that it is so important to deeply connect with your soul's purpose and to really live it. And I truly believe that we can create anything that we want. But the truth is, we need to step forward. We need to say yes. We need to commit to something, because when something's not working, it's not going to change unless we make a change. So if you're someone who's wanting to be more on purpose, you're wondering what your purpose is, or you're not really showing up in your purpose, but you know what it is, I want to invite you to something that's completely free that I'm running that you can check out. The link is in my bio. It's a 5-day challenge to discover your soul's purpose. When I discovered my soul's purpose, my entire life changed. My self-worth changed. My bank account changed. Opportunities changed. My energy changed. The way I was showing up in the world changed. Everything transformed when I finally said yes and I owned it. And the truth is, I believe that most people know what their soul's purpose, and we do on a soul level because we all have a soul. Our soul knows what our purpose is. But the question is, do we know how to listen? Have you taken the time to really sit with what information wants to come through? And have you made a plan to make it happen? And I know this for sure because I work with a lot of impact-driven entrepreneurs in masterminds, in courses, and all of the things. And many people, before they jumped into their purpose, before they had the courage to do it, had all of these excuses. I don't have time. What if I can't make the money that I want doing my purpose? And all of these excuses, all of these reasons, all of these logical reasons to not step forward and own their purpose until they finally had the courage to really do the thing. And what most people have found that I've worked with is that when they commit to their purpose and they're all in, that is when everything unfolds. That is when everything opens up. That is when you can sustain yourself in your purpose. So if you're someone who's working a 9 to 5, or you are kind of dabbling in your purpose and you're not showing up fully for it, I really want to invite you to this 5-day challenge. You will get clear on what your purpose is so that you can start embodying it and living it so that you can live a fulfilled life and really do the work that you're here to do in the world. And I really, really mean that. We're all here. We all have a divine purpose. And when we show up and when we listen and when we trust in the universe and ourselves on a deep level, and we put our excuses on the back burner, that is when everything magical happens. So I want to invite you to click on the link below in the show notes to join the 5-day Discover Your Soul's Purpose Challenge. It is incredible. You are going to love it, and it's going to help you laser focus what your soul's purpose is and how you can start living fully in it today. Lots of love, my friends. Mwah.